Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Borah Stott, author of Becoming an Unstoppable Boss Lady. Borah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Paul. It's a pleasure to be here.
How did I do in the pronunciations?
You did fantastic.
Ooh, thank goodness. I was nervous.
Yes, you did a great job. Yes.
Excellent. Well, we're absolutely thrilled to have you on the show. Are you ready to get started with our questions?
I am absolutely ready. Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
It's probably something that you've heard so many times before, but it merits mentioning again, and that would be to just go ahead and get started, to do it, to not fear what's ahead, because I think that's the one thing that stops so many of us is we're fearing, oh gosh, what's ahead? Oh gosh, can I do this? And we're comparing ourselves to those that are already published and out there. Don't compare your journey and don't delay launching. Just get started.
I can't agree enough with you on that. Two things I always teach my clients is this. One is don't be afraid to take the plunge. And two, done is better than perfect. Just get it out there.
Absolutely, yes.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Okay, so funny story. I went ahead, I wrote the book. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to publish, wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. So I wrote the book as a labor of love to myself. And as I finished the book, I said, you know what, this is pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and publish it. I'm going to put it out there. So I went online and I found, I think it was Create Space and a couple of others, Ingram Sparks. And I said, I sent them my information and they rejected it. And I sent it and I'm sending messages and I'm like, what's the problem? I did all of this and I'm ready to launch now. And the most difficult part for me, Paul, was formatting. It was a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
An absolute nightmare. I figured I wrote this in Google Drive. Everyone is Google. Google Drive is compatible with everything, or at least I thought. So that was the one thing that I wanted to send to them. And ends up that I could not send that to them, that I had to go on format. And the first person I hired, it was a train wreck. It was worse than anything that I could have done. And she was marketing herself as a formatter. So that was a little disheartening. And then I went on again. The second person was okay. And eventually what I did was decided to say, forget it. I'm going to learn how to do this myself. And I went in and did the formatting myself.
Well, you are a brave soul. That's the one thing, even to this day, that I refuse to do. I always outsource formatting. We've got a great formatter with our company. It takes care of that just because I don't have the patience to do it. It is definitely a process. What program were you using? Were you using Scrivener, or what type of program were you using to do the formatting?
I believe it was Scrivener. Yes, I believe that's what I used. Now, on the second book, I will certainly not try to do it on my own again.
Yes.
I'll be contacting you to get that name. Yes.
Yeah, it definitely is a process. And, one of my philosophies, always when you're doing your book, treat it like you're the CEO of your company and outsource. Outsource your editing, outsource your formatting, because those are absolutely critical. So you want that book to be the most professional product possible. And those two areas are just as important as having a great looking book cover.
Exactly. And the funny part is I knew exactly what I wanted the book to look like. I knew that I wanted it right formatted. I knew all of these things. And even despite me telling them, there was still a challenge with them getting it correct. And these were supposed to be professionals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's literally when you just look at them and go, you know what? You had one job.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite phrases. Like, you had one job. Well, let's talk
And
about.
we're still challenged.
I know, right? Well, let's talk
Yes.
about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used or are planning to use in your book launch that is going to work well, in your opinion.
I think the best one for me is the fact that I am in a position that many are not, which is that I have a community on social media of nearly 30,000 individuals. And so that's one of the resources that I'm using, email list. But I think it's just a matter of getting your book out there, letting people know that it's there, finding social media platforms, forums, just letting people know that it's out there. And I think that that's the biggest problem that most of us have marketing anything, whether it's a book or a course or training, whatever it is we go into this mode of being a secret agent. So even if your book is about a secret agent, don't become that one as you're trying to market and publish and get the information out. Let everyone know that it's out there. Put it out there to the point of being annoying at times. That would be my recommendation.
So you mentioned that you've built a 30,000 member community on social media. Was this on Facebook or Instagram, LinkedIn? Where was this?
This is between the crust of it is Facebook and LinkedIn.
Got it. And how were you able to build your community to that level?
Actually, I'm a social media strategist by trade. So I used a lot of marketing tactics and strategies that I had learned throughout the years. And I was just continual and diligent about putting information out there and also connecting with my audience to find out what did they need. You know, not just putting stuff that I felt that they needed. I wanted to find out what they needed, what areas in their life were they lacking. How could our community be of most assistance to them? And I think when you stop and take yourself out of the equation and start to look at the individuals that you're serving, then that's when it starts to grow. It's the old adage, and I'm not sure if it's Zig Ziglar that said this, is, you'll get everything you want in life once you help people to get what they want. So it's something to that effect. I think I just butchered it.
You actually paraphrased it quite well. That's actually very accurate,
Okay.
and that's similar to his quote. And I love the fact that you mentioned, too, that you're utilizing market research, essentially. You're asking what do they need, and then you're tailoring it to them.
Absolutely, yes, because the community started as something completely different. And based upon the need of the individuals that were there, I found when I aligned more with them that they shared more of what I had, and then I was able to grow quicker.
Well, and just digging a little deeper into this too. So you mentioned use market research, you're posting consistently, which both of those are critical. But what were the steps that you're using then to continue to build that? Because obviously you've got the content, you've got everything you've built in. But what are some strategies that you use to continue to build that momentum and continue to build that following up to that level? And also, how long did this take?
Okay, the strategy that I used best was to continue to put out bits and pieces from the book.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been doing, is doing kind of a soft launch, if you will, allowing people to get some little nuggets from it to spark their interest. And at that point, they start asking questions. They want to know, when's it coming out? When can I get it? Where can I get it? So just putting information from the book, and it's just a simple, you could take a sentence, you can take a quote, you can take a picture, whatever it is, just allowing individuals to see that it's coming out and what it's about, more so than just the cover, more so than just the testimonials or the individuals that did a lead or a forward to the book. So you want to share pieces of the book, and that's what I was able to do that was quite successful for me.
Excellent. Well, speaking of books, I'd like to know, what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
Oh, gosh. I was thinking about that, and that's a little difficult because I have two favorite books, The Richest Man in Babylon and The 1 Minute Millionaire. Those are both my favorite books, and I think I'll go with the one that was most difficult for me to comprehend, which was The Richest Man in Babylon. The philosophy of that book is to let the experts do what they do best. For me, what ended up happening was when I read it the first time, and if you've ever read the book, you know that there's some words and there's some things in it, and you're like going, what in the world is this? And it talks, the way that it's written, it's hard to understand. So the first time I read the book, Paul, I had no understanding of what I had read. But there was something intriguing about this book that made me go back. And when I went back, it was probably a year and a half later. And at that point in time, I had such a clear understanding of this book, and it was so profound to me in the messaging of letting the experts do what they do best. And so often we try to become a master at everything, when in fact we master nothing at that point. So that was really profound in my life to say, okay, get in a lane, stay there, master that, become the expert, then move on, then expand.
Yeah, I remember that. Was that phrase, right? Jack of all trades, master of none.
Absolutely, yes.
Excellent. And
that is so very true, yes.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
It's kind of a quote and it's kind of an affirmation combined. And that is, where I heard it from was Wayne Dyer, the late, great Wayne Dyer. And I've been told that he was not the author of it, but I give him credit. And that is, today I will do what others will not, so tomorrow I can live how others cannot.
And why is that your favorite quote?
Because I think so often we're looking for the easy road.
Yes.
We want the shortcut. Mm-hmm. We want things to be simple. And greatness, success is not simple. And there's no easy road. There's no magic pill. So if we get into the mindset and we accept that this is a journey and that we have to do what others will not, that there's a reason that there's the 80-20 rule. And then within that 20%, there's another 80-20, that's broken down. And the reason for that is because there are certain individuals that choose to do what others will not. So for me, quite often, I have to remind myself that, you know what, this may be something that others will not do, but it will allow me to live the life that I choose. And for me, living that life means being able to help more people. It's not so much about me.
Exactly. And I think one thing people don't seem to realize is it takes a lifetime to become an overnight success.
Oh, gosh, yes. Years of making, trials, tribulations, tears. And it all happens overnight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show today. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Paul. I greatly appreciate it. The best way to find me online is probably through social media. And we have a podcast that's called Powerhouse Experts. And we have a Facebook page called Powerhouse Experts. That's probably the best way to locate me. And in addition to that, you can locate me at girlfriendscreatingwealth@gmail.com.
Borah, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.